What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them.
Things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out, and I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night.
Good evening. So, not many nights do I really need to start off with a disclaimer. But in all fairness, and I have to give it all fairness to be real honest, tonight's show needs a disclaimer. So, right out of the gate, I do not condone, recommend, suggest, or even intend to tempt you to do any type of illicit drugs. If any drugs that I might mention in this broadcast would be legal in your particular locale, then that's fine. But make sure you seek medical advice. Obviously, speak to your personal physician and ask him if you should eat those shrooms before you do. Because that is just sound medical advice. And, well, you'll have to let me know how that conversation goes. But I just needed to say that. I am not in any way encouraging, condoning, nothing like that. Because in watching a movie the other day, I came to the realization of something. And the movie, based on a true story, and I know there's, discussion as to how accurate the movie was, even versus the book versus the real life kind of thing, but based on a true story. And I think enough of it is confirmed true about the story to come to the realization or the conclusion that I have come to. During a period of time, and I don't know the years offhand, I apologize, I did not really, what I did is I watched a movie. That's it. And I didn't even catch the end of it all that well because I was busy doing other stuff, and to be honest, I was thinking about what I'm going to be talking about with you now. Because that got my gears turning. So there's a movie based on a true story that is adapted from a book called The Jesus Revolution. It's right now, it's in movie theaters. We didn't go to the movie theaters. Magically, I got up and there was a file on my computer and I was just like, what is this? And I clicked it and it was the movie. And I don't know what happened other than I really need to put a better passcode on my computer because Blue just gets up in the middle of the night and it's just no holds barred. She's just doing all kinds of stuff. We had to take all cards and stuff like off of Amazon and stuff. She was ordering all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, oh wait, don't just hang in there. I'll get to my nom stories eventually. Anyway, seriously, I ought to some night. I ought to go into one of my nom routines, but I really don't want to offend any vets whatsoever. It was and has always been intended for humor. I did this whole nom bit. I thought it was hilarious. A lot of other people thought it was hilarious. And I would talk jive. I was really good at talking jive. I can't do impressions for nothing. But I could talk up a storm in jive, and it was hilarious. Well, anyway, because I'm just this little scrawny white dude, it was just so didn't work, right? So anyway, back to the subject at hand. I thought it was very interesting movie. It's something that I'm not familiar with it. The movie is the only thing that I know about this whole thing happening. But I think there's enough data that you could get from the movie and that you could rely on being true to come to my assumption. So in the movie, I thought it was. I loved it. And understand when I watch movies, I'm doing other stuff, so I don't intend to be vague, and there could be hashtag spoiler alerts, I don't know, but deal with it. Apparently what had happened was, there was this gentleman that, I think he had a calling. I think he did have a calling. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And he met up with the pastor of a church, and, kind of a typical, real tight kind of church deal, very strict type of church. And now, mind you, this is we're talking like in the 60s or something. And we're talking a very kind of higher class. I mean, it didn't look like it was a big church as far as a large congregation or anything. In fact, it looked rather small. But the people, the congregation was of that cloth that are, well, doing pretty good. And so, the daughter, I believe, is the one that introduced the father, who is the pastor, and this young man. And I'm not going to go into detail because, again, it's hard for me to really watch and focus that much on a movie, not because I can't focus on something, but I have a hard time focusing on entertainment. But anyway, it was kind of a feel-good kind of story because, this young man was able to open up the mind of the older gentleman, the pastor. And at one point, actually got what was a small group at the time of people that were kind of following this gentleman. And so this pastor had invited them to their church. Well, needless to say, they pretty much stood out like turds in a punch bowl. And they have a different way of worship and stuff like that. We're talking about the church that it was a church that, the only music was done by the organist or whatever, or the pianist. And I can't even guarantee you there was music, but I'm just saying there wasn't a band. It wasn't one of those types of worship services. So, but the worship itself is a little bit different too. The worship, I like it myself. It's more, in my opinion, of what I call a free worship, a true worship, a true calling. And that is people that, and I'm not talking about people going into tongues and all of that stuff. I'm not referring to that. I'm just talking about people passionate about the Father, and will let the Father just go through them. And I like that. And I know, I can't say it's real for everybody that does it. I'm sure that it's theatrics for some. But I know personally for a fact that it's not always theatrics. I mean, the Father, when He wants to move through you, He's going to come through. If you'll allow it, He's going to come through. And so anyway, kind of had a bit of a rift. They kind of tried to work things out. And then at one point, a band kind of came along, and they actually had convinced the church to let the band perform. And actually, I thought it turned out well from what I seen, of course, of the movie. Of course, I thought it turned out well. This one particular pastor thought it turned out well. But the original congregation and the other members of the, whatever you want to call it, that's in charge of the church, they weren't so hip on it. And, a few different bad events happened, and it came to a point to where those younger individuals were no longer welcome at that church. And to be honest, I don't know if they actually got kicked out or if they ran out of room and had to go to the other place first. But the same kind of thing happened at the same time. Not only did things go pretty sour between that church and all these young people and even the one pastor. So they just opened up shop somewhere else and really did a bang-up job of bringing young people, young boys and girls to God. It's a really good movie. And as I'm watching it, I noticed something about these young kids that are seeking God so much. And these kids are passionate. These kids, they're hungry. They're hungry for God. And when I see that, I always ask. One of the most important things you can do in life is ask the right questions. And so whenever I see a young person that's passionate about the Father, I'm immediately analyzing them and trying to soak in as much of them as I can, because I'm trying to find out what the recipe is. Because if we could figure that out, and if we could, on a more often than not scale, raise our children to be that passionate about the Father, holy cow, would this be a wonderful place to live. But things have to be swung in that direction. It's kind of what I'm talking about. The one underlying theme about these young men and women that was seeking God so much, and it was like their mind was completely open to something. They understood the power of it. And there was one underlying thing. LSD. Most of the young men and women that were part of the Jesus Revolution were acid heads. They were acid heads. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And in fact, some of them very clearly used LSD to heighten their spirituality. And when I realized that, I was like, hold up. Because mind you, I have been wise to this whole illegal drug scam from the beginning. Whether it be marijuana, whether it be ecstasy. Why on earth would a government do everything it can to prevent its citizens from having treatments that have astounding success rates? The success rates of the trials with ecstasy were just mind-blowing. That was mainly, I believe, in the 70s that went on. Mind-blowing. There's several documentaries out there about the subject. And it was right about the same time that our U.S. government put their foot down and said, oh, we've got to stop this hallucinogenic problem here. Now, I'm not saying that there weren't issues, and again, I'm not condoning, I'm not recommending, I'm not any of that. At all. This is just merely discussion. Have I partaken in anything of those sorts? Which kind again? Because I've got shrooms, the LSD, and that's it. As far as the hallucinogen. But the LSD, I have had two different forms. I've had the blotter paper, and then they had this, God, kick ass, something called gel tabs is what they call them. And that was it. I didn't do it a lot or anything like that. It really wasn't, to be honest, wasn't my thing. But I was adventurous, and boy, was that an adventure. But anyway, so I have a little experience to speak from when it comes to the effects of those. Now, the effects can vary greatly, and I will tell you that I will never touch a hallucinogen like that again. I can't. That would go straight to my anxiety, and it would not be a good time. I will say the last time I took shrooms was not a good time, and I will never do anything like that again. I'm done. I'm not adventurous no more. It was fun, but I'm good. I can say with absolute certainty that 2 different types of drugs I've experienced has enhanced spirituality. And one of them being hallucinogen, and the other one being either or a similar substance as ecstasy, MDMA, is what I was trying to think of. And that really, in my opinion, that really heightens. The MDMA absolutely heightens spirituality. I mean, it's a force multiplier. But and I'm being serious. Again, I'm not recommending, I'm not condoning, this is a discussion. And I'm speaking about my experiences. I do not recommend people seek their own. Speak to your medical professional before you even have a glass of water. Yeah, that ought to do it. So stupid. We can't just talk. Because I don't recommend anybody do anything. At all. Hell, I don't even recommend you eat. Just starve. I mean, too many risks with eating. I mean, can you think of all the different bacteria and all that? Just too many risks with eating. I won't even recommend eating because it's too dangerous. So, there's that. It's almost the point that it's gotten to. And if you do eat, make sure it's only Soylent Green. Soylent Green, brought to you by Pfizer. Did I say that? I didn't say that. I did not say that. YouTube, I did not say that. I'm just wrong. That's all there is to it. See, this is why. I am why you should not do drugs, kids. Take it in. Understand. You don't want to turn out like me. Wow. Gunman threatened football legend. Well, are we talking football or soccer? Oh, soccer. Lionel Messi. Well, for us, soccer. Not for those soccer players. To them, it's football. But anyway, yeah. So that happened. That's sports. I won't be sharing that out. That's not news enough to go out. Let's see. Holy cow. Okay. So here's the deal. I need a moment. Because I need to reply right now. I have something that I really need to reply to right now. It's important. It's good. So, good. But I can't tell you what it is. So, but just give me a moment, please. Okay. I had to be thoughtful and understand that I'll just say that I'm giddy like a school kid. That's about all I can say. It's good. It's good. But I really needed to be answered back immediately. And I really can't tell you what it is. So so it is what it is, okay? But it's good. Anyway, it's like beyond good. It's like incredible. So anyway, for a kid like me. So, let's see. Where was I? I was talking about, well, I am a kid in ways. I'm pretty damn childish in some ways. There's no doubt about that. But they're not too bad of ways. I mean, I'm an idiot. I enjoy being an idiot. Being an idiot is fun. Let's see. Anyway, I really, that's kind of what the basis of what I wanted to talk about when it comes to that is I really do think that the Jesus Revolution has led to, I can't even think now. I'm telling you, it's awesome. I think it led to a lot of the drug laws when it comes to the hallucinogens and stuff because I think that they saw a connection. That's just my opinion. I am actually going to dig into it more, but it's something I wanted to throw at you. Something very interesting. And, I think it's interesting because there's a whole lot of stuff out there that would really be beneficial for us that either we don't know anything about or it's illegal or this or that or the other thing. My very first community guidelines strike on YouTube was a video that I talked about Kratom. So, It is what it is. It's absolutely insane. And I can't tell you. I can't talk to you about it because I'm not allowed to. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. It's just mind-blowing. And I know that we can go to other platforms and I can say pretty much whatever the hell I want. But I'm telling you, people won't go to the other platforms. Some will, but very few will. Here's what it is. Normally the stuff I cover, I can be benign enough with my speech to not have an issue. But, other times, not so much. So anyway, let me, I guess, start going over some headlines here. Some articles I have open. What do I got? 6 open tonight. Quite a bit of news today. Some of it was pretty big. So, let me have a sip of coffee here. And let me go gray man for a moment. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. Where was I going to start? Okay, I guess there's good enough. Let me bring you on over to the web view. So there was quite a bit of stuff that has gone on since last night. There was an attack on Russia from Ukraine. And then Russia struck Ukraine back. So that's kind of where we're starting out with this. I'm not covering the Ukrainian attack on Russia, but understand that has happened, and this is the response. Ukrainian saboteurs hit by massive strike, says Moscow. Kiev's operatives who had crashed into Russia's Bryansk or something like that region on Thursday have been forced back into Ukrainian territory and hit with a massive artillery strike, the Russian Federal Security Service has said. Earlier, the Russian military and security services reported that saboteurs had crossed into the Bryansk, I don't know how that would be said, sorry, region bordering Ukraine and launched raids on several local villages. At least 2 civilians were killed in those attacks, which has also left a child injured, the local authorities said. In order to avoid civilian casualties as well as damage to civilian infrastructure, the enemy was pushed back to Ukraine territory, where they were hit with a massive artillery strike, the FSB told Russian media. A raid by the Ukrainian nationalists in the Kilmansky district of the Bryansk region had been thwarted. In a separate statement earlier the same day, the FSB said that a large number of explosive devices of various types had been found in the area. Bomb squads were deployed to disarm the explosives. Bryansk Governor Alexander Bogomaz had reported artillery and mortar strikes in the area. Russian President Vladimir Putin branded the incident a terrorist attack, calling people responsible for such acts neo-Nazis and terrorists. He also suggested that those behind Thursday's raids might have also been behind the assassination of Russian journalist Daria Dugina, whose car was blown up near Moscow in August. Russian regions bordering Ukraine have regularly come under attacks by Kiev's forces since the start of the ongoing conflict. The local authorities in Bryansk and Kursk regions have repeatedly reported shelling by the Ukrainian forces, which has sometimes resulted in civilian casualties. So, again, I don't think it's going to be a lot longer before Russia lights Ukraine up. And I mean in a big, big, big way. So, one moment. Okay. Let's see. I think, now I know where I was going. Yeah, I think Russia, I think they're about to put a foot down. I really do. Let's see. I thought this was an interesting article, and I thought it was probably important to bring up. I have no doubt of it. Apparently, U.S. has an Iran war plan, says media. And to be real honest, we probably got a war plan with France. I mean, it's what our government, our military do. They dream up killing people and then practice what they dreamed. Essentially. I mean, that's kind of what it is. And once in a while, they actually go at it. Oh, wow. That's awesome, Rick. That would be awesome to do that. Absolutely awesome. So you've actually been there. That is awesome. That's the year I was born, by the way. So just saying. That is awesome. Man. What I would give to experience something like that. I've never had the opportunity. Oh, no way. That is awesome. So then let me ask you, how accurate was the movie? Well, you probably haven't saw the movie yet. You'll have to let me know if you see the movie now, or when you see the movie, you'll have to let me know how accurate it was to how things really were. 'Cause wow. That had to have been. Oh, you didn't see. Okay. Yeah, that had to be incredible. I wished I had an opportunity to be a part of anything like that. I haven't even. I've got a buddy that used to go to these big music festivals, these big Christian music festivals, and I think there were several a year that he would go attend, and I never got the opportunity to go to one with him. And every time, though, he talked about them, and I'd listen about, how much fun and stuff. Oh, I so wanted to go, but just never had the chance to do anything like that. Let's see. But as I was saying, we pretty much have a plan to go to combat with just about any country. But this, to me, sounds like it was a little bit more in-depth than probably most plans. So anyway, this says, Pentagon developed a conceptual plan for war with Iran during the presidency of Donald Trump, The Intercept has reported, citing budgetary documents. The document is one of several indications of Washington's increased hawkishness towards Tehran, the outlet argued. The contingency plan, codenamed Support Sentry, was funded in the fiscal year 2019. Given that the Pentagon's resources are not unlimited, the fact that effort was expended to produce such a document means that U.S. military planners consider the risk of a clash with Iran significant enough, the Intercept suggested. Another sign of a possible escalation was the order to reassign Israel from European Command to Central Command in the Pentagon's responsibility structure, the story said, carried out by Trump just 4 days before the inauguration of President Joe Biden. The reassignment built on the rapprochement between Israel and the Arab states under so-called Arab Accords. Israel was previously kept under the European Command in order to avoid stoking tensions with countries such as Saudi Arabia. Under the Biden administration, the Pentagon has conducted a series of joint military maneuvers with Israel. The Juniper Oak exercise in January was openly touted by the Israeli leadership as a simulation of war with Iran. The Intercept suggested that Support Sentry probably guided the drills. Con plans, or concepts of operations plans, serve as the intellectual framework or context when developing military exercises because it makes sense for units that are honing their skills to have that work be relevant to likely tasks, Dakota Wood, a retired U.S. military planner, told the outlet. Let's see. Yeah, I'll have to do that. I haven't really looked into it yet, and it's something I do absolutely plan on diving into and learning about. For many reasons. I mean, again, if there's youth that has that spark, I want to know what caused that spark. That's what I'm after. I forgot to mention it earlier, but that was kind of one of the things, because the young ladies from the missionary would come and speak with us, and I love talking to them. They are absolutely incredible and intelligent and God-loving. I mean, it's just, you can tell. And I just really enjoyed talking with them. And in the entire time, and I even was asking them a number of different questions, trying to find out exactly what was that spark, So, because to me, if we can figure that out, we've got it licked. Let's see. Anyway, on to this. I have no doubt that, especially under Trump, that there were plans looked into. When Obama was in office, they started to look back at our different nuclear policies. And Obama actually, he had actually changed nuclear policy and gave the United States, I forget what you would call it, but it was more or less first strike permission, if you will. I don't remember the exact words they used. And that was something that we had never even discussed or really mentioned in the past because, well, that's first strike. And so during the Obama era, that was changed, and he actually had plans drawn up and all that for a possible first strike. A lot of people, I don't know why, but a lot of people associate Democrats with peace. That's not the case. Obama was not, there wasn't a peaceful part about that man. He sure had people thinking he was a nice guy. Ask that of the countless families in the Middle East that are missing members because of his drone program. They probably wouldn't think so much. So anyway, and it's just, that's the way it is. The only president I've ever seen that I can actually say it looked like they pulled back militarily was Trump. Now, that doesn't mean I give him my stamp of approval or anything like that, but that is one thing. I mean, I called out his good things and his bad things. I actually liked his attitude and how he dealt with people because, well, sometimes you just have to be an ass. And so I got that, although I thought some of it was a little too TV showish. I don't know, but I find it interesting that this is coming out now with Biden in the helm. You know, because he's a Democrat. It means he's peaceful, right? It's crazy. They can get the green stamp of war. All they have to do is get the Democrats to push it. It's crazy. They can get the Second Amendment advocates to turn their back to about anything. All they got to do is get a Republican to push it. Red flag laws, bump stock bans. That's how it works. That's how they play the people. They know. They know you put a pro-Second Amendment advocate in office that there is no chance in hell that they're they're going to be for that. That's the mindset. They put a Democrat in, right? And that's actually what I initially meant to say. They know that there's no chance in hell that a Democrat's going to get gun laws passed. It's very rare. Very rare. Bill Clinton had a very rare victory. But all they have to do if they want to put in some type of gun law, some kind of restrictions, is have Red Team come out with it. They'll slide it through. Happens every time. It's the same thing, right? The ones the most responsible for busting up unions aren't Republicans. The Republicans didn't bust up the unions. The Democrats busted up the unions. But the box on the side says that Democrats love unions and Democrats support unions. And so if the box on the side says that, then that means that that's the way it should be. Right? Well, yeah, I mean, they use the Hegelian dialectic with it all, absolutely. And get people to demand for their rights be taken. Well, usually they don't get people to demand for their own rights be taken. They get people to demand for the other side's rights be taken. And so then they seesaw back and forth with who's in control, and they just whittle those rights away, back and forth, back and forth. We don't really have rights at this point. We have some permissions, and, you know, that is what it is. They're permissions. It doesn't mean just because you're bothering absolutely nobody and doing absolutely nothing illegal that you won't wind up in court somehow, some way, just for minding your own business. You know, it's really messed up. It's really messed up. All they got to do is get the other side to push for it. Let's see. I'm going to kind of whip through these. I am a little tired. I don't know why. Just a little wore out. Let's see. Moscow warns of nuclear clash risk. Not going to read into it, but there's enough people that are talking about this, and not just from Russia, but other places as well. I'm pretty confident there's a concern. I don't think this is just banter. I think people are talking. I think these people don't want this to happen. And I think that's why they're talking. I don't think this is banter at all in some of this. I really don't. I don't think people want this. I don't think it's Putin's intention to have a nuclear conflict. I don't think Putin will back away from having a nuclear conflict. But I just don't think that that's what he wants. You know, it's kind of crazy. It's a shame. We really never did get to even hear what he did want, to be honest. Meaning Putin. I just think that's kind of strange. U.S. backs arms for Taiwan despite Beijing protests. So I just threw this in there so that you folks have the data point that we're continuing to piss off China as well. So Europe needs NATO without the U.S., says Orban. I thought this was an important thing to note because, wow, they're going to, the talk of kicking the U.S. out of the car, which I would gladfully propose, support that notion. Either way, whether we step out or whether they kick us out, I don't care. I would like to be out of NATO. I would also like to be out of the UN. Any global entity we have no business being part in. None. I'm not saying that we should be a hostile nation of any sort. But at the same time, we really ought to just mind our own business for the most part. If we see something going down that is seriously an issue, like with Germany and World War II, with many other things that are going on right now that for some reason they not only allow but fund and support, it's kind of weird. But, I don't know. I don't think the world's heading for good times, but you guys know that. Musk's human brain experiments rejected by U.S. regulators, says media. So I'm sure that much of this is politics. And I'm even more sure that it's just nonsense. It's a non-thing. And the reason I say that, because you and I both know that it's either a matter of time or a matter of money, whichever is needed most. It's only a matter of time. But it is important to note, the important thing to note here is that is where they're ready to go. I'll read the second paragraph here. It says the FDA cited dozens of deficiencies barring the way to human trials when it rejected Neuralink last year. The employees explained dozens of pigs have already been pressed into experimental service in order to address the agency's concern that the tiny threads, the interface with the wearer's brain, could migrate, altering brain and implant functionality, causing inflammation, rupturing blood vessels, and otherwise damaging the fragile tissue, employees said. Oh, yeah? Because there are some kind of treatments that I'm not allowed to talk about that is even stupider than that, but I can't talk about it at all. It's only a matter of time. Plain and simple. And from the way it appears, that is a very short matter of time. I honestly think that is the actual intent of all of this, is to put it in your head, but especially after all the nonsense we just went through, to make sure that you understand that they're doing their job. You watch. I'll say within 2 to 3 years, so probably sooner, but I will say between 2 to 3 years, they're going to be chipping humans. Not this human. I'm sure they'll find somebody to do it. You wouldn't believe the things that they convince people to do. But I probably shouldn't talk about that either. I spent too much time last night talking about Sam Britton. But you know what I mean? Yeah. That cat just... I don't know, man. I mean... He's probably my favorite scumbag. Really. I mean, it's probably the bright red lipstick, though. Is probably, Amazing Grace. Sorry. Not really, but... let's see. You don't want me to sing. It's not pretty. Although, I've actually been a singer in a band twice. But anybody can scream. Let's see. Good question. Jimmy Crackcorn. That's a really good question. So let me dig into that question a little bit for clarification. When you say consciousness, you're essentially talking like your soul, correct? Not your memories, not your stuff like that, but you're talking about like your spirit, your soul. I don't think that at this point they're capable of uploading that to a computer. I don't even know how they could do that. Not saying it's impossible. I just don't understand the science. That being said, they can go in and get memories. They can, at this point, do that. From my understanding, the level that they are, they can get memories. They can give you thought. And what was the other thing? Get memory, give you thought, and dream. They can essentially control your dreams. And I know for a fact, I just heard about that one not long ago, within the past probably couple of months, about the dreams. So they're getting there. Now, of course, they're not, as far as I understand, this isn't the brain chip that they're doing this with. Other methods. But I don't know. I don't even know if they're doing human trials with any of that or what all that's, but that's, I'm not real sure where they're on that. But supposedly they do have the ability, as far as like memories and stuff like that, to basically download it. Now, how that shakes out on the other end, I don't know. I don't know how that would shake out on the other end. I mean, obviously it's not like a transcript or something like that. I don't know. Interesting stuff, though, and I think they're there. I just don't think that they're going to let us know about it for a while. I don't have a good feeling about where they're at when it comes to this stuff. Whether it be the implant type of stuff, transhumanism type of stuff, or even just the general tech type of stuff. We're definitely in some dangerous times. So, let's see. I mean, you want to know one of the most dangerous things technology has brought to the human race? Hope you're ready for this. Imagine having to use the restroom in a store. And imagine it being just not a good night, right? And imagine having to do a whole lot of cleanup on aisle 1, you know what I'm saying? And clogging the toilet. However, it's not just any regular toilet. It's one of those automatic toilets that flush when you walk away. And you just clog the hell out of it and can't get it to flush a second time. I have nightmares. No, I'm kidding. That would suck, though. I mean, I am pretty frustrated about the damn towel bullshit, though. You wave your hand, smack the machine, you kick it a couple of times, and it gives you like 2 inches. Like, thanks. But, yeah, anyway. Let me go on with news, because I'm an idiot. Did I even get started on this crap? Really? Did I? No. I'm a tard. All right. Let me see. I think I started on it. No, I didn't. Not much, anyway. I suck. EU to change focus of Russia sanctions, says Politico. U.S. rallying allies for new China sanctions, says Reuters. French warned of further price hikes. Reason for firings at key U.S. nuclear base revealed, says CNN. A Russian governor reports Ukrainian attack on border villages. A Russian security chief addresses foreign-backed revolutions. Russian regions come under mortar fire from Ukraine. Russian forces eliminating Ukrainian saboteurs that violated border. Pretty sure it was a different article I had up. Russia's debt to GDP lowest in G20, says data. AI stresses me out, says Musk. U.S. has Iran war. Oh, I covered that one. South American nation hit by massive blackout. China's factory activity hits decade high. A Danish mayor defends decision not to sack Russian-born teacher. Inflation in Germany accelerates. Putin condemns terrorist attack. Lavrov blasts Western critics at G20. Moscow warns of nuclear clash. West pressuring UAE to stop trading with Russia, says FT, Financial Times. Almost half of UK viewers think minorities are overrepresented on TV, says a poll. I didn't say it, but what I am going to say is that, people talk about racism in the United States, and I am not for a second going to say that there's not a racism issue in this country, because there most certainly is. But if you think there's a racism issue in the United States, you might want to try one of those European or Asian countries and see what they're like. Or, obviously, the UK. Russia accuses West of trying to threaten China. Russian security service comments on Ukrainian saboteur attack. EU country boosts imports of Russian nuclear components, says media. Deadly incident at Russian military aircraft plant. Stopping weapons supplies to Ukraine won't bring peace, says Germany. Ex-German chancellor fends off party expulsion attempt over Russia ties. Ex-colonial power proclaims end of Africa interference. New sanctions pose no shock to the economy, says Bank of Russia. Half of humanity will be overweight by 2035, says report. And, they wanted to bitch and complain about climate change and that causing the rise of the sea levels. Are they so sure that the rise in sea levels isn't because of the rise in fatties? Because I don't know. It's probably something that we ought to look into. I'm kidding. Write your hate mail to douchebag@thewatchmannews.com. I promise I'll get it. Promise. Let's see. U.S. makes another China irritating Taiwan move. I actually did cover that one. Let's see. Ukrainian saboteurs hit by... Oh, I did cover that one. Blinken and Lavrov meet at G20. Heard they had a grand old time. No, I don't know. Have no clue. A Japanese company sued for modern slavery. Russia comments on Serb weapons in Ukraine. Warsaw cuts aid for Ukrainians. Let's see. Robert Kennedy assassin, denied parole for the 16th time. You mean the one you said did it? U.S. state declares emergency over historic snowstorm. Capitol cops can sue Trump, says Justice Department. That ought to be fun. Ex-Russian president names red line for direct war with NATO. Twitter received state-sponsored blacklist from the U.S., says Matt Taibbi. Twitter received... Oh, I just read that. MI5 apologizes for not preventing terror attack. Russia reveals position on Istanbul grain deal. Covered that. Russian prodigy wins music competition in Germany. What was his age? Was it 12 or 14? 12. 12. Apparently a prodigy pianist. And that's awesome. I love it. I love it when young children like this have a musical gift. It's just, I don't know. I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely awesome. Let's see. Musk human brain. Oh, I covered that. And I guess lastly here, Argentina ends deal on disputed islands with the UK. Fun, fun, fun. Anyway. Well, the good news is, I don't know that we're going to go off the cliff this weekend. That's actually good news, because, man, for a while there, I was getting a bit concerned. And now, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm not concerned with what's going on, but it seems like the tension isn't quite so crisp, if that makes any sense. It's kind of dulled a little bit, if you were to think of it like pain. I don't think at this particular point there's a big chance for mistakes, accidents, dumb moves, what have you. It's when things are really tense, really fresh, being tense, that those types of things are much more likely to happen. So, we're just kind of where we're at, I think, for a little bit. I would highly suggest that people, any calmness whatsoever that we have, you take that and you appreciate it as the calm before the storm. That storm's coming. That storm's coming. I think a whole hell of a lot of us hear it rumbling. But none of us can really say exactly when it's going to hit or how. But it's coming. It's coming. Thunder's getting loud. You can smell the ozone in the air. It's coming. I think the answer is still the same. It never changes. The only thing that matters is how you can respond to it. It's all that matters. Nothing else. Anyway, I'm getting the hell out of here. I hope y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Make sure to spend some time prepping this weekend. And spend some time thanking the Father this weekend. And do the things, as Bear would say. So, I am out of here. I hope y'all have a good weekend. God willing, we'll be back Sunday, and I'll still be an idiot. And as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. Shalom.